Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
And good morning. We are live on WOTM from the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices in Montgomery. I'm John Holder of the AHSAA Weekly, and it is a big day in high school athletics across the state of Alabama. For the first time, we are going to be broadcasting for you live over the next hour the reclassification of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. What does that mean? Basically, every school in the state of Alabama, in the Alabama High School Athletic Association, every 2 years, they reclassify. In other words, we have classes 1A through 7A. That's the sizes of the schools in the state of Alabama, and we decide what schools are 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, and 7A. That also means that we are having new regions, new area alignments in every sport that is sponsored by the Alabama High School Athletic Association. So basically, every 2 years in high school athletics in Alabama, everything changes. Schedules will change, regions will change, areas will change, classifications will change. That is what is being approved right now. The Central Board of the Alabama High School Athletic Association is meeting in the other side of the building right now, this morning. They are just moments away from officially approving the reclassification. As soon as that is done, then we will be breaking it down for you. We'll be giving you all the information you need about high school athletics and the reclassification. We will have some special guests with us this morning. Steve Savarese, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, will join us right here on the set live. We're also scheduled to be joined by Keith Bender, President of the Central Board of Control from Aniana High School. He will join us live. Also, we're going to have a couple of media guests with us. We will have Josh Bean from AL.com. Also, Ben Thomas from AL.com will join us live here on the set as well as we begin breaking things down for the Alabama High School Athletic Association reclassification for the years 2021 and 21 and 22. We will take a break, and when we come back, we'll start talking about reclassification as we continue with the reclassification special here on WOTM.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
Live this morning at the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices in Montgomery. John Holder of the AHSAA Weekly. This is Reclassification Day, one of the most exciting days every 2 years in high school athletics in the state of Alabama. We are still awaiting the official release of the reclassification, and of course the football regions. A lot of folks interested in that as well. At this time, going to be joined by Ron Ingram. Ron is the Director of Communications for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Ron was telling me earlier that this is your 7th reclassification, right. So I guess that's going back over 14 years.
Well, I just started my 13th year, December 1, and this is my 7th time here. But I spent 30 years. There's another 15 of those in there when I was at the Birmingham News, and then another 10 will be another 5 when I was at the Dothan Progress and Dothan Eagles. So this is an exciting time for me. But I also know, like right now the Central Board is meeting, and they have other business to deal with, of which the biggest we think is reclassification, and that's still yet to be addressed. So we're kind of on hold for that for a few more minutes.
For the folks out there, there are a couple of changes this year in reclassification. Basically, we take every school in the state of Alabama that's a member of the Athletic Association, and we divide those up according to enrollment. Right. These are enrollment figures that come not from the schools, except for the private schools. They provide those numbers. But the public schools, those numbers come from the State Department of Education, correct?
Well, what happens is the public schools report their average daily enrollments for the first 20 school days after Labor Day to the State Department of Education, and they compile those figures. And those figures are used for a lot of things, not just reclassification. That talks about, that lets them know how many teacher units they're going to get and so forth, but that's the State Department business. For our business, it gives us a way to reclassify schools based on enrollment. Private schools, they do not have to report that information for the most part. Some do, but they report those numbers, same numbers, they report them to the AHSAA directly. And then, of course, with the private schools, we add a 1.35 multiplier to their average daily enrollment to get their numbers to fit into reclassification.
And one of the things that happens is they get divided according to sport. In football, it's regions. That's the terminology we use. You can have anywhere from maybe a 6-team region up to a 9-team region. Most are 7 or 8-team regions. Right. Also, you get into basketball and baseball and softball. Typically, 4, 5-team areas is what we call it there. But that's what we do, is we break those down into geographically. That's a big part of this, Ron, is geography, because you try to put schools as close together as possible for travel purposes.
Right. And the best thing about that, in the old days, if you came to the High School Athletic Association during reclassification, they would have, if it was 6 classes or 4 classes, they'd have big state maps, and they would have pins, little pins, different colored pin heads, and they would stick pins in there to represent which, like we're going to see later on our color-coded maps now, they stick pins in, and every now and then they might put a pin in the wrong place. But what we have now is a program that was originally devised by a gentleman that was one of our officials from Hackleburg, he worked at NASA. He's a meteorologist now, then he left, and that program was even more revised, and it's based, and it gives us all of our member schools by longitude and latitude. And once we put into the program the schools in that classification, it can hit a button and we can tell it how to divide it. If we say divide it into 8 regions, it in just seconds will give us 8 regions based on geographic location, and it can tell us the average time to and from each place and so forth. But it's pretty amazing, and but it still is a long, laborious process to get it exactly the way it needs to be.
Ron, there are a couple of differences this year for folks that are familiar with classifications in the past. There are a couple of key differences this year. First thing is we want to address is you talked about those numbers being reported. In the past, it was grades 10, 11, and 12 with 9th grade holdbacks.
Right.
That's been that way, I think, forever. This year, it was changed to now you're counting 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. Tell us about that.
The Central Board made that change at, I think, our last board meeting. What it's doing, and one of the drawbacks to doing it 10, 11, and 12 and 9th grade holdbacks is that schools had to count those seniors that were not going to be eligible anymore. And the holdbacks were kids that didn't necessarily pass the 9th grade, but they could gain eligibility in one of those years of the classification period. Counting 9th graders, 10th graders, and 11th graders now, all of those kids will have 2 years of eligibility remaining potentially. And those 9th grade holdbacks are part of that 9th grade class, so they're being included already. So instead of counting a senior class that's graduating, you're counting the 9th graders that are moving in. Now, what difference does it make? In some schools, if you had a big senior class, it gave you a smaller 9th grade class, it's going to give you smaller numbers. If you had a larger 9th grade class, it could give you bigger numbers. And so that's kind of the way it works. But on the average, I think it made a difference of about 5 or 6 students per school.
And Ron, a bigger change, maybe perhaps something that has never been done before, is this year it's what I call a rolling reclassification. Typically in the past, we would have the reclassification for every sport being released all in one day. Because of competitive balance, and of course those points, we'll talk about that in a moment, are based on how you did in the last 3 years during the season. You have to wait until the seasons are over to really properly reclassify those private schools. So what's going to happen today is really the fall sports is what's going to be released today. Right. The overall enrollment numbers, that will be released. But as far as particular sports today, we'll have swimming and diving, we'll have cross country, we'll have volleyball, and we'll have football. If you're here today to look for basketball, or baseball or softball areas, that will not happen until later in the school year, correct?
But what we will know, what they will approve today, if they approve it,
sure.
If the Central Board approves it, what we will know is what classification each school is, sure. Whether they're 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, or 7A. They won't know what areas they're going to be in for basketball, for the winter sports until at the end of basketball season, and for the spring sports after the end of softball and baseball, which is our last sports to crown champions. What we do know now is we've completed the fall sports, and the reason for that is that in the last classification period, the classification committee recommended a competitive balance factor to be placed on private school teams, not schools, but teams that had major success in a sport. If they earned enough points in this competitive balance program, then they would be bumped up to the next level to compete in that sport. A 3A private school's football team, for instance, might play in 4A. If that's the case, but they could also, once they were moved up, if they didn't earn enough points to stay there, they could move back down. And this will be the first classification where we have had teams that have been in the competitive balance. They may move down, they may move up even to a higher level if they continued to have that great success that they were having. And it's trying to find for those teams the right fit for them, and it seems, I think that the data will show later that the competitive balance factor is not impacting private schools or public schools that much. I think it's has had a positive impact.
in those schools, they can't keep moving down, obviously. They can only move down to where their enrollment is, but they can potentially keep moving all the way up to even to 7A.
Right, to the highest level if they keep winning at that higher level. But to move at that high level, you're going to have to be in the finals at least once in those 2 years. Now, the other factor was in the original competitive balance factor formula, we counted 3 years. We counted the year, at the same time they counted the year of the classification that had been completed, and then we counted the 2 years prior, and that could have been in another class. But those numbers determined which school teams would move up. Now, because since it's been enacted, the Central Board has approved counting only what's in that classification, so it's in a 2-year period. That's why we're doing the alignments mid-year, because otherwise we could go ahead and do the alignments. In the past, what we had done is every sports alignment was announced, but it was also subject to change.
Absolutely. A lot of information that we'll have to share with you coming up over the next hour or so. We will take a break and come back. We're, again, waiting on the final approval from the Central Board of Control of the Alabama High School Athletic Association to release officially the reclassification. And I know a lot of folks are really interested. This is a football state. Folks are interested in that football regions. But we'll also tell you about cross country, swimming and diving, and volleyball as well as we continue live from the Alabama High School Athletic Association on WOTM.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills? AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
We are back at the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices on the east side of Montgomery. John Holder from the AHSAA Weekly here on WOTM, joined by Director of Communications for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Ron Ingram. Still awaiting the final approval from the Central Board of the Alabama High School Athletic Association for reclassification. This will be one thing we also want to point out. This does not take effect until August, until the next school year, right?
Yeah, we're in the last year of the classification period we're in. So the classification that the schools are in now will be, they will remain that way till the end of this school year, but this will start the beginning of the next school year. And you know, this is I've been around this a long, long time as a sports writer now with the High School Athletic Association now for 13 years. But it's an exciting time, almost not quite, but it's like anticipation. You're going to have twins, you're going to have triplets, you're going to have a boy, you're going to have a little girl. You know, you kind of wonder what's it going to be. But the excitement about reclassification is just amazing to me. When we went in 2014, we announced 7 classes, and that afternoon, after it was announced, we had close to 1 million hits on our website of people wanting to see those classifications. And we'll have that information on our website later today, and we hope to have it on this show later this morning. But we're at the mercy of the Central Board right now, and we have a wonderful Central Board, by the way. They really take a lot of time and want to make sure they know how much this means to our schools, so they really want to get it right.
And getting into the importance of reclassification, there are a lot of folks, not just coaches and athletic directors, but there are a lot of fans out there that are interested in this because really, Ron, it's everything. This determines schedules, This determines who you play for the next 2 years in all sports. It is going to determine who you're going to compete against for area championships, region championships. It will determine who you're going to compete for state championships. This determines not only who's in your region in football or your area in basketball. Obviously, that's going to dictate who you can schedule for non-region games. That's one of the reasons high school football coaches are so interested this morning. They can't make their schedule out until they know, okay, who's going to be in my region, who's going to be in my classification. Then I can go out and start trying to find some folks for non-region games. That's why all the coaches are on pins and needles today. As soon as we announce, they'll be on the phone calling each other trying to schedule games.
And finishing up their schedules. That's right. But, you know, I remember back when we had our first Super 6 championships at Legion Field. And that particular classification had some kickback because Clay County and Lineville had the best rivalry in the country, probably, and they were in the same county, and the north-south line went right through the county. Ashland was in the north, Clay County. Lineville was in the south. Well, when we rolled into the Super 6 Class 2A state championships, guess who was in the finals? It was Clay County and it was Lineville. Now, they had to play twice most years, but that was in the playoffs. Normally the semifinals or the quarterfinals in the playoffs. This time they both got to come to the state championships. And let me tell you, that all came to Legion Field, and that was one heck of a crowd. And now, just this past December, they were all back again, but that county merged those two schools together. And, you know, a major rivalry merging two schools together is not always turns out in a positive way. But in this particular case, I've never seen a better merger of two powerhouse programs as we've had with Central of Clay County now, because everybody in that county knows what football means to each other. And they know what the other sports mean too, but they come in unison now. They're the Volunteers now. They're not the Tigers and the Aggies, I believe it was, and not the Panthers. Now they're the Volunteers, but they're still winning championships.
And Ron, one thing too, we always have, for a lot of reasons, you mentioned sometimes we have consolidation of schools, sometimes we have schools closing, schools opening. One of the things that has always been interesting to me about reclassification is if you want to kind of track population in the state, if you want to track demographics in the state, reclassification really kind of puts that out there in a tangible way, because you see schools that are growing and you see those schools rising in classification. You see schools that are maybe the population is dwindling, and you see those lowering. You see new schools being opened. We'll have some new schools this year in the Athletic Association, some schools that have been a part of that. A new Alberta school down in Baldwin County. New Orange Beach High School is coming. St. Michael Catholic School. Three new, relatively new schools that are coming on board in the Athletic Association, all from Baldwin County. And, of course, I always love those new nicknames, like Orange Beach is going to be the Makos. I love that. And so we get to reclassification, and we'll find out where those three schools will be in classification.
What's a Mako?
A Mako is a shark.
Oh.
And as I understand it, it is one of the most aggressive and fastest sharks on the planet. So
I can tell you what I thought. I was thinking it was an orange or something.
Yeah. I've looked this up, Rod, so you know me. Speed is very fast and very aggressive, which is an appropriate nickname for a high school athletic team, speed and aggression.
And why we don't go too far out in the ocean when we're at Orange Beach, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the Makos will be coming on. They'll be classified today. We'll find out where Orange Beach is going to be. And, of course, Alberta and St. Michael Catholic, some of the new schools in the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We'll come back, and hopefully very soon we're going to have the reclassification for you here from the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices in Montgomery, live here on WOTM. Back in a moment.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
This is Reclassification Day in the Alabama High School Athletic Association. John Holder live with you from the AHSAA offices in Montgomery, broadcasting statewide tonight. We know this morning, I should say, we've got a lot of folks that are interested in this. Coaches, administrators, fans, players, parents, they all want to know, where is my school going to be? Are we going to be 2A, 3A, 4A? And what area is my basketball team going to be in? We won't find that out today, but we'll find out regions as far as football goes and areas as far as volleyball. So a lot of folks want to go ahead and make travel plans. Where am I going to have to travel? Who are we going to play? Who's going to be some of our non-region games? Who are we going to be able to schedule and not schedule? What are the built-in games? What are the games that we have where we can go out and find non-region games? We'll find out all that information as soon as that is approved by the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Here's the way the process works. As Ron Ingram mentioned to you before, there is a computer program. It's very high tech that takes all of these schools, takes the enrollment, and then breaks it down into classifications. And then within the classifications, let's take football, for instance, then they will break that down into 8 regions. Every classification 1A through 6A in football, for instance, will have 8 regions. In 7A, there are 4 regions. So basically, those are the very largest schools in the state of Alabama. And then we start going from there all the way down to Class 1A. So that's the way that it works. And it's a very high-tech, as we said, computer program that basically does all that work. That has eliminated kind of the human factor in all of this. And then they spit the numbers out. Here's the recommendations. Here's what it looks like. And then the Central Board of Control of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, they will then take a look at the reclassification and officially approve that. They'll approve not only the numbers and the enrollment figures and the competitive balance, and for private schools, not only competitive balance, but the 1 to 1.35 ratio. They'll put those numbers in as well. And then they'll approve that. The Central Board basically is composed of representatives from member schools from all 8 regions in the state of Alabama. There are 8 districts in the state of Alabama, and all 8 of those districts basically have representation on the Central Board of Control of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. That board meets regularly here in Montgomery. They're meeting today, having a very special meeting. There are other things on the agenda besides just reclassification. That's one of the big things on the agenda, but there are other things that they're tending to as well. And so we're awaiting an official word from the Central Board of Control of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We're going to come back and we'll continue as we'll unveil some numbers and some names for you later on as we continue with our reclassification show on WOTM.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills? AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
The reclassification day is here. This is the reclassification show on WOTM. John Holder with you from the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices in Montgomery. Now, we do have part of the puzzle is here, and we're about to unveil some of that for you here. We do have the official enrollment numbers and the classification. What schools are in what classification? We do not have, as of yet, they're still working on that. We should have that in just a couple of moments. The official approval of the football regions, which I know is a big component of what people are looking at. But let's begin in Class 7A. And in Class 7A, I want to just talk about some of the schools that are going to be maybe changing classifications. One, we expected this with last year, the merger of Dothan and Northview High Schools. Dothan High School will be 7A. As a matter of fact, they are now the 6th largest school in the state of Alabama with an enrollment of 1,733. The largest school in the state of Alabama, by the way, is Hoover. Hoover with 2,126 students. The smallest school in the state of Alabama, as we flip through some of our numbers here, is University Charter School with this 36.53 students in the high school. The smallest football playing school is A.L. Johnson High School of Thomaston with 45.6. Some other new teams in 7A, Albertville moving up from Class 6A to Class 7A. Also Daphne High School. The Trojans down in Baldwin County also moving up from 6A to 7A. As we move to 6A, a lot of changes in Class 6A. We can tell you for the first time ever, Mountain Brook High School dropping from 7A to 6A. Mountain Brook will be the largest school in Class 6A with an average daily enrollment of 1,039. Right behind them, another team dropping from 7A is Robert E. Lee High School of Montgomery. Another team dropping from 7A is McGill-Tulane High School in Mobile. They are now in 6A. Moving up from Class 5A to 6A, Mortimer Jordan High School, Citronelle High School, Scottsboro High School, Jasper, Southside out of Etowah County, Chilton County of Clanton, all of those schools moving up from 5A to 6A. Briarwood Christian High School in Birmingham also moving up. Arab High School will now be a 6A. Arab and Lee Osment and his football team will be moving from 5A to 6A. Valley High School in Chambers County, the Rams moving up from 5A to 6A, and also two more teams moving from 5A to 6A will be Woodlawn and Springville. All right, and also we have the football regions in 7A. I think we're going to show those to you right now as we can go ahead and start unveiling some of the football regions in Class 7A, and we'll have those for you here on the screen in just a moment. There is Class 7A Region 1, Alma Bryant. From down in South Mobile County, Baker High School in Mobile, Daphne, as we mentioned, moving up from Class 6A, Davidson in Mobile, Fairhope Foley, Mary Montgomery High School in Sims, Murphy, and Theodore. That will make up Class 7A Region 1. In Class 7A Region 2, that region will be Auburn, Central Phoenix City, who is in the Super 7 this year, Dothan High School, as we mentioned, the consolidation between Dothan and Northview, Enterprise, Jeff Davis High School in Montgomery, Prattville, and Smith Station High School. Those are the schools that will make up Class 7A Region 2. Now we go and we take a look at Class 7A. Well, again, we only have 4 regions in Class 7A. In Class 7A Region 3, here's the big move. Gadsden City, for as long as we have had Class 7A, they have been in Region 4. Gadsden City now will move to Region 3, and they are moving into a tough region. Hewitt-Trussville, Hoover, Oak Mountain High School in Birmingham, Spain Park High School in Hoover, the state champion, Thompson of Alabaster, Tuscaloosa County High School of Northport, and Vestavia Hills High School, all in Class 7A Region 3. And in Region 4, we mentioned Albertville, the Aggies moving up from Class 6A to Class 7A for the first time ever. They will be in Region 4 with Austin of Decatur, Bob Jones of Madison, Florence High School, Grissom High School of Huntsville, Huntsville High School, James Clemens High School in Madison, and also Sparkman High School out in the Harvest Tony area in northwest Madison County. There's kind of a color-coded map. You can see Region 1, pretty much all the schools in Mobile and Baldwin counties. Then you see Region 2, that's kind of in the light blue over there. That can basically is your Wiregrass up to Montgomery, includes the Auburn, Opelika, and Phoenix City areas. Then Region 3 is in the purple. That stretches from Gadsden City down I-59 all the way into Tuscaloosa County. And now we'll take a look at Class 6A. Those are the football regions, and we'll give you the actual names here in just a moment. But you can see, again, Region 1 in the bottom. That includes Mobile County, up to Regions 2 and 3, East Alabama, Central Alabama. And here is Class 6A. We mentioned a lot of changes in 6A this year. Class 6A, Region 1. This is in football. Citronelle, Baldwin County, Bay Minette, Gulf Shores High School, now in 6A. Blunt High School and Pritchard, McGill 2 High School, dropping down from 7A. Out of Mobile, Robertsdale, Saraland, and Spanish Fort, who of course was in the Super 7 this year, making up Class 6A Region 1. Class 6A Region 2, Carver of Montgomery, Eufaula, Sidney Lanier of Montgomery. We mentioned Robert E. Lee of Montgomery dropping down from Class 7A to 6A. Opelika, Park Crossing High School in Montgomery, Russell County High School over in Seal on the Georgia border, and Valley High School, the Rams, moving up, another one of those teams making the move from Class 5A to Class 6A. Now we go to Class 6A Region 3, staying in the south. Benjamin Russell High School in Alexander City. Kawira, Chilton County of Clanton, another team moving up from 5A. The Helena Huskies, the Pelham Panthers, Stanhope Elmore of Millbrook, and Wetumpka all will make up Class 6A Region 3. Class 6A Region 4, Bessemer City, Brookwood, Hillcrest of Tuscaloosa, Hueytown, McAdory, Northridge of Tuscaloosa, and Paul Bryant High School of Tuscaloosa making up Class 6A Region 4. Now, Class 6A, as we move into the north, Region 5, 6, 7, and 8. As we move to those regions, we'll unveil those for you at this time. Again, this is football. These are some tough regions. Region 5, Briarwood Christian of Birmingham, moving up from 5A. Chelsea, Homewood, Huffman of Birmingham, Mountain Brook High School for the first time ever moving from 7A down to 6A, Shades Valley out in Irondale, and Woodlawn High School in Birmingham in Region 5. And we'll talk about this with Josh Bean and Ben Thomas in a little bit, but I think this is maybe the toughest region ever. Class 6A Region 6, Clay Chalkville, Gardendale, Jasper, who was number 1 for the bulk of the season in Class 5A, moving up from Class 5A to 6A. Minor, Mortimer Jordan High School, another Class 5A power, moving to Class 6A. Jackson Olin of Birmingham, and of course the team that's won 2 of the last 3 state championships in Class 6A, Pinson Valley High School. As we go to Class 6A Region 7, Arab, moving up from Class 5A to 6A. Fort Payne, Oxford, your state champions. They are moving into a new region, moving out of the region that included Gardendale and Clay Chalkville and Pinson Valley. Now moving into this region with Arab, Fort Payne. They'll retain Pell City, a rival of theirs out of this region. Scottsboro High School, moving up from Class 5A. Southside, who has toggled back and forth from 6A to 5A, moving back up from Class 5A to Class 6A. And Springville High School, for the first time ever, moving into Class 6A. Michael Graben and the Tigers will be in Class 6A. In Class 6A Region 8, Athens, Buckhorn High School up in Newmarket, Columbia High School in Huntsville, Coleman, the Bearcats, Decatur High School, Hartselle, Hazel Green, and Muscle Shoals. Of course, Class 6A Region 8 basically comprising teams in the Tennessee Valley up in the Huntsville and Decatur area. Now we look at Class 5A. Again, there's your color-coded map. This is football. We begin always in the south. Region 1 is your Mobile, Baldwin County schools. 2A making up most of South Alabama. Regions 3 and 4, Central Alabama, we move northward. Here is Class 5A Region 1. BC Rain, the Red Raiders from Mobile. Alberta High School, that's the new school that we talked about in Baldwin County. Faith Academy of Mobile. John LeFleur Magnet High School in Mobile. The Satsuma Gators, and look at that. We expected this. A lot of speculation. St. Paul's Episcopal of Mobile back from 6A to 5A at UMS Wright Prep for the first time because of competitive balance. moving up from Class 4A to Class 5A. That is the Battle of Old Shell Road. It's a huge high school rivalry, one of the biggest ones in the state of Alabama. And now a region title will be at stake, perhaps with those two teams. In Class 5A Region 2, how about Andalusia? Not the only team from that tough Class 4A Region 1, now moving up to Class 5A. They will be in Region 2 with Carroll of Ozark, Charles Henderson of Troy, Greenville High School, Headland moving up from Class 4A to 5A. And look at this one, interesting, Pike Road High School, just down the road here in Montgomery County. Pike Road, explosive growth in that community. Pike Road was a 3A. They jumped, they're a public school. This is not because of competitive balance. They jumped from 3A to 5A. Shows the growth of that school and community. And also Rehoboth High School, just outside of Dothan, making up Region 2. Class 5A Region 3, Central of Tuscaloosa, Demopolis, Jemison High School in Chilton County, Marbury High School, Selma, Shelby County of Columbiana, and Sipsey Valley, which is right outside of Tuscaloosa, making up Class 5A Region 3. Class 5A Region 4, this is going to be an interesting region. Beauregard, great program over in Lee County, right outside of Opelika. Two-time defending state champion, Central of Clay County in that region, Elmore County. A number of schools moving up from 4A to 5A in this region. They love moving up to 5A and being in there immediately with the Class 5A state champions two times. Elmore County moving up out of Eclectic. Also Hopeville High School, they're moving up from Class 4A to 5A. Sylacauga, Talladega moving back up. They have been in Class 4A. They will be at 5A. And the Tallahassee Tigers down in Elmore County remaining in Class 5A in Region 4. Now we move into North Alabama, Class 5A Region 6. This is all Metro Birmingham except for Cordova up in Walker County. You've got Carver of Birmingham, Fairfield, John Carroll Catholic out of Birmingham, the A.H. Parker Thundering Herd, Pleasant Grove, who was in the state finals this year in football, Ramsey out of Birmingham, and the Winona Dragons out of Birmingham. 7 of those 8 schools out of Jefferson County, really concentrated right there in the Metro Birmingham area. Region 6, interesting region. A lot of St. Clair County teams in this region. As you look at that, Alexandria, the Valley Cubs out of Calhoun County are in that region. Center Point, who had a phenomenal football team, they are in that region. Corner High School from Jefferson County, also there. Hayden will be in that region. Leeds High School moving up from Class 4A to Class 5A. Lincoln High School moving back up from Class 4A to 5A. And then we see the St. Clair County, some more teams there. Moody and also St. Clair County High School remaining in Class 5A in Region 6. Region 7, we're kind of getting a northeast Alabama flavor here. The Boaz Pirates, the AP Brewer Patriots from over in Florette. Crossville, the Lions, also Douglas High School in Marshall County, the Fairview Aggies, Guntersville, Sardis, and West Point. That makes up Class 5A Region 7. Class 5A Region 8 as we get into the Tennessee Valley. Ardmore High School right on the Tennessee border there. East Limestone out of Capshaw. Lawrence County High School in Moulton. Robert E. Lee High School in Huntsville. We have 2 Lees in the state, one in Montgomery, one in Huntsville. They will be in Class 5A Region 8. May Jemison High School in Huntsville, Russellville, a perennial power. And another team moving up from 4A to 5A is St. John Paul II Catholic High School out of Huntsville. Now, let's go and take a look. I believe we're going to take a look at the map here for Class 4A. And this will be your Class 4A regions. Again, Class 1A in the, Class 4A Region 1 in the south, Region 2 over in South Alabama, West Central Alabama making up Region 3. Then we get into North Alabama with 5, 6, and 4 across the state in North Central Alabama, and Region 7 and 8 up in the Tennessee Valley. So let's go to Class 4A. A lot of interesting moves in Class 4A. One of those, Jackson High School moving down from 5A. Mobile Christian, because of competitive balance. Remember, they were in the state championship game in 3A. They are moving in football only because of competitive balance up to Class 4A. They will be joined, we mentioned St. Michael Catholic, relatively new school. That'll be playoff eligible now in Class 4A. Viger High School moving down from Class 5A, always a perennial power down in Pritchard. Williamson in Mobile, Escambia County High School in Atmore. All of those schools in Class 4A Region 1. Class 4A Region 2, Alabama Christian right here in Montgomery. Ashford High School down in this Wiregrass area. Bullitt County of Union Springs. Dale County High School in Midland City. Geneva, Strawn just outside of Andalusia. And Booker T. Washington High School from Tuskegee making up Class 4A Region 2. This is where it kind of gets interesting here. Class 4A Region 3, American Christian of Tuscaloosa. They played Bibb County in a non-region game this year, but Bibb County moving down from 5A had a phenomenal team this year. Won 12 football games. Dallas County High School from Plantersville, Holt High School in Tuscaloosa, Montevallo, Sumter Central High School down in Sumter County, West Blockton, the Tigers, and Wilcox Central High School in Camden. Kind of a spread out region there over in West Alabama, making up Class 4A Region 3. And yes, these schools, folks, are in the South. We talked about population, and this kind of demonstrates population. There's just, quite frankly, folks, more population in North Alabama than there is in South Alabama. So that's why these Region 4 teams will be in the South. The Anniston Bulldogs, Cherokee County of Center, Cleburne County High School in Heflin, the Hanley High School Tigers in Roanoke, Jacksonville, who was in the Super 7 this year, Munford, and White Plains. That is Class 4A Region 4, a 7-team region out of Region 4. We move to the north now. A lot of good football in this region. Class 4A Region 5, Curry High School up in Walker County, Fayette County and Fayette of perennial power. Gordo, who spent much of the year ranked number 1 in Class 3A, moving now to Class 4A, I believe for the first time ever in school history. Haleyville, Hamilton, Northside High School, who had their best season in school history this year, making it all the way to the quarterfinals in Class 4A. Also, Oak Grove High School in Jefferson County. And look at Oakman, a school that is really moving up. This was a school that was just 2A a couple of years ago. Look at the growth. We talk about tracking population and demographics. Oakman now a Class 4A school up in Walker County. Class 4A Region 6, interesting region here. You have Asheville. You have Dora coming in from Walker County. The Etowah Blue Devils in Attala for the first time ever in school history since we've been in the 6-7 class system, moving down to Class 4A. Fultondale, another school with a lot of growth. Fultondale moving up from Class 3A to 4A. Good Hope in Coleman County, another Coleman County school. Hanceville in there. Those are schools, Hanceville moving up, and Aniana, who has won more high school football games than anybody in state history. They are in Class 4A Region 6. Class 4A Region 7, Kate Duncan Smith, DAR out of Grant in Marshall County in Region 7. Madison Academy, because of competitive balance, you don't always move up. Madison Academy moving back down to Class 4A from 5A. Madison County High School in Gurley, New Hope, North Jackson High School up in Stevenson, Priceville High School in Morgan County, the Randolph School in Huntsville, and another Huntsville private school, Westminster Christian, who was very, very good in Class 3A, moving up to Class 4A. In Class 4A Region 8, they always play great football over in the Shoals, and this is a great region right here. Brooks High School, always tough. Central High School, Florence, Deschler. Don't have to say a whole lot about high school football when you talk about the Deschler Tigers from Tuscumbia. East Lawrence High School out in Trinity. Rogers High School from Florence. West Limestone from Leicester in Limestone County. West Morgan High School from Morgan County in that region as well. And Wilson of Florence also making up Class 4A Region 8. Now I think we're going to move on to Class 3A. Again, we begin in the south. The 1A region stretches all the way up I-65 to Evergreen. The 2A, the Region 2 will be in the Wiregrass, Region 3 in West Central, Region 4 in East Central, and then we get into North Alabama above I-20 basically for the most part with Regions 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let's jump in and give you those regions and break those down for you in Class 3A Regions 1 and Region 2. We'll take a look at that, and we'll begin in the south. Region 1, Bayside Academy of Daphne, Chickasaw High School in Mobile County, Cottage Hill Christian School in Mobile, Excel, the Panthers will be in there, Flomaton, Hillcrest of Evergreen, who was 3A, moved to 4A, moving back down to Class 3A. Perennial all-time power T.R. Miller of Bruton, and Monroe County High School of Monroeville making up Class 3A Region 1. In Class 3A Region 2, that will be Daleville, Houston Academy of Dothan, the New Brockton Gamecocks, Providence Christian School in Dothan, the Slocum Red Tops, and the Wicksburg Panthers over in Houston County, making up Class 3A Region 2 in the Wiregrass. We go to Class 3A Regions 3 and Region 4 now. Region 3, basically schools stretching from Montgomery over to Mississippi. We've got Greensboro High School in Hell County High School in Moundville, Prattville Christian out of Prattville, south side of Selma, the Montgomery Academy School right here in Montgomery, Thomasville High School all the way down south in Clark County, and Trinity Presbyterian High School, again right here in Montgomery, making up Class 3A Region 3. Class 3A Region 4, Beulah, the Bobcats from over in Lee County, Dadeville High School up in Tallapoosa County, Goshen down in Pike County, Montgomery Catholic, who was a phenomenal team the last couple of years in Class 4A, making the move down from Class 4A to Class 3A. Pike County High School, Reeltown. How about this? Reeltown, a team that was in the state championship game in Class 2A, moving up to Class 3A, joining St. James of Montgomery. So there you go. A lot of movement in that region, and especially two really good football teams joining that region, Montgomery Catholic and Reeltown. We move to North Alabama, Class 3A. This region didn't change a lot except for the fact that B.B. Comer moved out, and for the most part, Childersburg moved in. Childersburg dropping from 4A to 3A, and they'll be in with teams from up in the Calhoun County area. Ohatchee, Piedmont, Pleasant Valley, Sachs, Walter, Welborn, and Weaver. All of those schools from Calhoun County. So basically, Calhoun County plus Childersburg from Talladega County making up Class 3A Region 5. In Class 3A Region 6, Glencoe and their old rival, Hoax Bluff, moving from 4A to 3A, and they will be in the same region with each other. The Holly Pond Broncos from over in Coleman County, J.B. Pennington of Bluntsville, Susan Moore, who won 12 football games this year, had a phenomenal team. Susan Moore will be in that region. Tarrant and Vinemont, another Coleman County school, joining Class 3A Region 6. Winding up Class 3A and Class 3A Region 7 and Regions 8, as we'll take a look at that. Taking our way into North Alabama, we'll hit Northeast Alabama first. Asbury, the Rams, just outside of Albertville. That is a team moving up for the first time, I believe, ever from 2A to 3A. Brindley Mountain, right outside of Arab. They will be in that region. Couple of interesting names here. The two teams that were in the North Alabama championship game in Class 2A, both moving up to Class 3A. Collinsville for the first time ever in Class 3A. Fife moving up to Class 3A. Geraldine, Plainview of Rainsville, and Sylvania. So basically, look out. Class 2A loses Reeltown and Fife, who were in the championship game, plus Collinsville, who was in a semifinal game. All of those teams moving up from Class 2A to Class 3A. Class 3A Region 8, Carbon Hill in Walker County, Clements up in Limestone County, Colbert Heights High School, Colbert Heights High School in Tuscumbia, Danville, Elkmont, Lauderdale County High School of Rogersville, Phil Campbell High School, and the Winfield Pirates making up Class 3A Region 8. We're going to take a look at the map now for Class 2A. This is, again, football, and we're going to begin with 2A, and we'll show you the map. That is a big region. Look at Class 2A Region 1. Stretches all the way from the Gulf of Mexico nearly to Tuscaloosa, covering all of southwest Alabama. Then you've got Region 2 in the Wiregrass, Region 3 around the Montgomery area, and then we've got Region 4 over in east central Alabama, Region 5 and 8 northwest Alabama, Region 6 and 7 in northeast Alabama. So let's break that down. We'll begin in Class 2A with Regions 1 and 2. In Class 2A Region 1, J.U. Blackshear of Uri, Clark County High School down in Grove Hill, Greene County High School. Also Leroy, there's the new school. Ron Ingram and I talking about Orange Beach High School, the Macos. They will be starting off their first competitive year in football in Class 2A. St. Luke's Episcopal High School in Mobile and Washington County High School of Chatham making up Class 2A Region 1. Class 2A Region 2, we take you over to the Wiregrass for these teams: Abbeville, Arrowton High School in Dale County, Cottonwood High School, also down in Houston County, Elba moving back up from Class 1A to Class 2A, Geneva County of Hartford, Houston County High School of Columbia, G.W. Long High School in Skipperville, and also Zion Chapel down in Jack in Coffee County, making up Class 2A Region 2. As we go to Class 2A Regions 3 and 4, Region 3, Calhoun of Leadahatchee, Central High School of Coosa County, also Francis Marion High School in Marion, the Highland Home Flying Squadron down in Crenshaw County, the Isabella Mustangs from up in Chilton County, the Luverne Tigers, and Thorsby, the Rebels, making up a widespread Class 2A Region 3. In Class 2A Region 4, good football teams in this region. B.B. Comer moving down from 3A to 2A out of Sylacauga, Fayetteville, Horseshoe Bend High School in Newside, also Lafayette, Lynette, your defending Class 1A state champion. They're moving back up to Class 2A. They won it in 2A a couple of years ago. Ranburne High School, solid team over in Cleburne County. Randolph County High School, who has been a dominant program in Class 3A in Wedowee, they are moving back down. And also we'll move to Class 2A Region 5 and Region 6. Class 2A Region 5 will be Addison, Aliceville, well, tough football teams right there. Cold Springs High School in Coleman County, Lamar County High School of Vernon, the Midfield Patriots moving down from 3A to 2A, also Sulligent and Winston County High School of Double Springs and Region 5. In Class 2A Region 6, interesting, Cleveland, Gaston, Locust Fork High School moving down from 3A to 2A over in Blount County. Sandrock, another Blount County school, Southeastern from Rimlap. For the first time ever, Spring Garden High School, a dynamite program in all sports in Class 1A, moving up to Class 2A for the first time ever. And they will be in that region in football with also Westbrook Christian out of Rainbow City and the West End Patriots from Walnut Grove, another Etowah County school in Class 2A Region 6. In Class 2A Region 7 and 8, Falkville, who moves back up from 1A to 2A, Eider, North Sand Mountain High School of Higdon, Pisgah, Section, Tanner, and Whitesburg Christian Academy out of Huntsville, making up Class 2A Region 7. Class 2A Region 8, Colbert County High School of Leeton, Hatton, Lexington. Also Mars Hill Bible. There's the team that won it 2 years ago in Class 1A last year, this past year, just a couple of weeks ago, winning the Class 1A, or I should say the Class 1A runner-up. Mars Hill, because of competitive balance, will be moving up to Class 2A in football. Then you have Red Bay, Sheffield, and Tharptown from over in Franklin County. That will make up Class 2A Region 8. And finally, don't want to leave out Class 1A. Let's move to Class 1A. We'll show you the map of all the Class 1A regions. Region 1 in this instance, really not a lot of 1A schools in the Mobile, Baldwin County area. That's more in South Central Alabama. Region 2 over on the Mississippi border. Then Regions 3 and 4 in the central part of the state. Region 5 in East Central Alabama. Region 7 making up the Northeast corridor. And Regions 6 and 8 in Northwest Alabama. So let's begin in Class 1A. And we'll begin Class 1A Regions 1 and 2 as we'll begin down in South Alabama. Region 1, Brantley, Florala, Georgiana, Kinston, McKenzie, Pleasant Home, Red Level, and Sampson, making up really the heart of South Alabama there with those schools in Class 1A Region 1. Class 1A Region 2, we have Choctaw County High School of Butler, also Fruitdale, the Pirates, Marengo of Dixon's Mills, McIntosh, Milry, Southern Choctaw moving down from Class 2A to Class 1A, and Perennial Power, the Sweetwater Bulldogs in Region 2. We go to Class 1A now, Regions 3 and Region 4. As we take a look at that, Class 1A Region 3, Central of Hayneville, Elwood Christian Academy of Selma, R.C. Hatch High School in Uniontown, A.L. Johnson High School in Thomaston, Keith High School in Orrville, just outside of Selma, Linden, and also J.F. Shields High School in Beatrice. In Class 1A Region 4, Otagoville, Barber County High School over in Clayton, the Billingsley Bears, Lochapoka Indians, the Maplesville Red Devils, great program there, Notasulga High School, and Verbena, the Red Devils, making up Class 1A Region 4. Now we go into the north. In Class 1A Region 5, Donahoe and Anniston, Raglan High School, Talladega County Central High School at Howell Cove, just outside of Talladega, Victory Christian from Pell City, Wadley, Winneboro, and Woodland. Very interesting here, moving down from Class 2A to Class 1A. Class 1A Region 6, great teams here, great football tradition over in West Alabama. Berry High School, also brilliant, Hubbardville, Lynn, Marion County High School of Guin, Meek High School up in Arley and Winston County, Pickens County, the Tornadoes from Reform, and South Lamar High School in Millport. Just some great football there in Class 1A Region 6. And our last two regions, Class 1A Region 7 and Region 8. Class 1A Region 7 will include Appalachian over in Blount County. Cedar Bluff Tigers spent a couple of years in Class 2A, moving back down to Class 1A. Coosa Christian in Gadsden, Galesville High School in Cherokee County, Summerton Christian High School over in Summerton and Walker County, Valley Head High School, and also the Woodville Panthers, making up Class 1A Region 7. And in Class 1A Region 8, going to Northwest Alabama, Cherokee High School, Decatur Heritage out of Decatur, Hackleburg, Phillips of Bear Creek, R.A. Hubbard High School in Cortland, Shoals Christian, Vina, and the Waterloo Cougars, about as far northwest as you can get in the state of Alabama, up in the northwest corner of the state. Bring it back here, and we have just hit people with a lot of information, and now we're going to hit them with the Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Coach Steve Savarese. This has been a busy, it's not just been a busy morning. This doesn't happen overnight. I want to talk with you about reclassification, the importance of it, and the work that goes into what we just went through. And that was just football, and what goes into all of that.
Well, I'm very thankful to the entire AHSA staff for the great job they do, John. We have directors of sport, Alvin Briggs football, Denise Ainsworth volleyball, Marvin Show cross country and swimming. They work diligently with Jamie Lee, Ron Ingram, our entire staff, Mark Jones, to create the classification system we have. And reclassification is a time for us to regroup, to analyze enrollments, put schools in similar size. The primary goal of the Central Board of Control, who has the authority to set classification, is to reduce travel as much as possible. That's why our system now calculates travel. Unfortunately, there's always a school that will have a little more than others, but overall, the travel is minimized.
And Coach, you have one of the things we want to emphasize to people. Back in the old days, Ron and I were talking about the fact that you used to have pens out there and all that. The human element was big in this. Now, this is more fair than it's ever been because you have a fantastic computer program that plugs in the coordinates, the geography, the numbers,
longitude and latitude.
The longitude and latitude, and spits all of this out. So this is really high-tech reclassification.
Well, the integrity of this system is very important to us. Putting a pin on a map and giving it your best guesstimate was a great technology when that's all you had. But we have to use the resources that are available to us. And it's just like you look at this picture and it's a, it's a colored map, and where else could you put anyone?
Right.
And what it does, the system just literally groups you, the system asks us, what are your groupings? Well, the board decides those, and they say 7, 8, or 9, and they want to minimize 9s. We only have one grouping of 9. The rest are all 7 and 8, thus allowing schools to have similar scheduling dates. And that's so important because it's very hard when your schools have either 3 open dates or 4 open dates, everybody has the same dates. So they can schedule each other accordingly. But if you have one region that has a 6, they only have 5 guaranteed dates, and they're playing adjacent region that has 8, well then you don't have anyone to play, and It really creates travel issues. So that's why the board determines the groupings. Once they determine those groupings, the computer puts them in there, and it's as fair as humanly possible. Now, we can't help the enrollments. That's what are turned in by the schools to the State Department of Education. But we take that data. And what's really great about this year is it's 32 in 7A. We've always had 32. That's the goal. We have a range of 28 to 36, but the board's goal is always 32. And then it was 59 per class thereafter.
Wow.
So it really couldn't have been done any more fair.
I want to talk with you about a couple of differences this year. One, I think for the first time in my lifetime, instead of counting 10, 11, and 12 as far as enrollment, those grades, 9, 10, and 11. Tell us about that.
Well, our board has considered 9, 10, 11. One of the factors why we haven't done it in the past is because we've had junior highs that have fed multiple high schools, and you couldn't calculate their 9th grade students knowing exactly where they would end up at what school. Now that's been minimized to the point where we only have 4 left the entire state. They all feed the same high school. Therefore, we were able to use 9, 10, 11 data. And while we like 9, 10, 11 data, those kids will participate in the classification system. Even the 11th graders have 1 year in the classification system. So previously, the 10, 11, 12, and there was a reason for 10, 11, 12. The 10, 11, 12, those 12th graders, even though they were counted, they never competed. So this provides a fairer opportunity.
We're going to take a short break. We will let you digest all this information that we have thrown at you over the last 20 or 25 minutes, so we'll come back with more on the Reclassification Special live here on WOTM.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
He is not. This is one of the most exciting days every 2 years in the Alabama High School Athletic Association. It is Reclassification Day, reclassifying every school in the state of Alabama, 1A through 7A in the Alabama High School Athletic Association. And this is for the years 2021 and 21 and 22. John Holder back with you at the AHSAA offices in Montgomery, joined by Coach Steve Savarese, Executive Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association. One of the things that happened the last time we reclassified was we introduced a new term for high school athletics in Alabama, competitive balance. And tell us about competitive balance. We've got a few changes, not many, but a few changes with our private schools this year because of competitive balance.
Well, competitive balance is an assessment to our private schools that either raises or lowers their classification. And this year in the sport of football, we had 1 school move up because of competitive balance and 2 private schools move up because of enrollment. Madison Academy, St. Paul's did not qualify to maintain their competitive balance status, so they moved down. So there wasn't a lot of movement in football, but there was some.
Yeah, Mars Hill Bible, as we see on the graphic there, and Mobile Christian and UMS Wright because of competitive balance. This is private schools only now, moving up. And then we'll take a look at swimming. It's not just football, but this is in all sports. We see 3 schools that moved up, 2 schools remained the same, and I think it's interesting this time because we didn't have this the last time where schools moved down. So
Right.
schools can move down.
They moved down to their 1.35 enrollment. So that's what those schools did. Randolph and St. John Paul II moved down. But we also had UMS, St. Michael's, and Whitesburg Christian move up. And even though UMS moved up to a 5A classification, they'll compete in 6A in swimming.
And then we look at volleyball here. We had a number of teams that moved up. One of the most amazing things to me is the success that Bayside Academy has had. 18 consecutive state championships in volleyball, 28 overall, moving up. And you see a number of those schools moving up. But again, some schools remain the same. And then we had some schools that competitive balance actually moved down in classification.
In volleyball, that'll create some really interesting matchups. You know, Bayside, Providence Christian, Montgomery Academy have all been powerhouses in volleyball. And our private schools have helped raise the level of volleyball in the state of Alabama because our public schools are getting better and better with the sport. And now, I thought the best team in the state of Alabama was in 5A in volleyball in Jasper. And now you're going to have Bayside, Providence Christian, and Jasper. That'll be just really interesting. So it's going to create another level of excitement. And those teams, I'm not so sure they're going to keep winning those championships because they're running into some pretty stringent competition.
And as we mentioned before, it's every sport. We reclassify every sport. Competitive balance applies for private schools in every sport, including cross country. Here's another one of our fall sports here. And you see a number of schools moving up, a couple of schools staying the same. Montgomery Academy here in town moving down. But that just goes to show that in every sport, competitive balance has an effect.
Yes, sir, in every sport. And even the ones that stay the same have already moved up a class. So they're already competing one class above their normal enrollment. So hopefully, you know, we'll continue to study the data of competitive balance. We have a committee that overlooks, we call it a classification committee that will analyze our data every year and continue to make recommendations for fair play.
We mentioned a couple of new things in the classification process this year. We mentioned one of those was the fact that we were looking at 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. Another thing that we're doing this year, you saw there on the screen, folks were looking at cross-country, swimming and diving, football, volleyball. You didn't see basketball and baseball and some of the spring and winter sports there. Because of competitive balance, we'll know what classification the school is in, but as far as their actual regions that they're going to be in and things like that, we really won't know that until after the winter sports and the spring sports are competed. Right. So that's something new as well. Tell us about that.
Well, now because of competitive balance, we can't release all reclassification in our winter and spring sports at the same time as fall sports. So we'll have this same meeting, and we are excited. Well, we hope WOTM will come back, and we'll be here to release basketball, wrestling. Vince has already told me it's a guaranteed, Coach. And this is what I know y'all are really interested in the reclassification. I've seen it for about 12 straight days, but I'm really excited to have y'all as part of our team and to be able to bring this to the public and explain this process. And John, we couldn't have a better person than you. I mean, you're just perfect for this position. You've been a great supporter of high school athletics, and we really appreciate having you and having Vince, join in. We've always had the dream here at the association to have our own network. We would love to have our programs on 24/7 to watch contests that have occurred, the archive contest. Can you imagine being able to watch championships with Charles Barkley playing, with Cornelius Bennett running the football, Bo Jackson, and that's why we're really excited about having y'all with us. When I can barely walk and hopefully still breathing, I'll be able to turn on WOTM on my cable channel, and I'll be able to watch the archives of the championships that occurred, because watching our students is what this is all about. Having y'all as part of our Super 7 was just awesome. Y'all did an unbelievable job. The broadcasts were great. And anybody who's not watching this channel really needs to, because it's only going to get better and better in the future.
Well, I appreciate the kind comments, appreciate the good words. It's an honor for me, and for all the folks at WOTM to be a part of this and be a part of high school athletics in Alabama, because no other state does it better than the Alabama High School Athletic Association. That's not hyperbole. That's just the fact of the matter is this is the best run high school athletic association in the country that we have here in Alabama. Coach, as we wind up, I know you got a lot of meetings that you have to go to, and this is a very busy day for you. One last thing, just overall about reclassification, and you mentioned why it's important, and you mentioned people that have an interest in this. Everybody, not only the coaches because of scheduling, not only the coaches and the administrators, but the fans, the players. It's interesting to everybody because they want to know, hey, who are we going to be playing? Who are we going to have to compete for an area championship or a region championship or a state championship? Where are we going to have to travel to? What new teams are we going to be playing? One of the things that's exciting to me is you always get new matchups that you've never seen before. And so it's big. It's an interest to everybody who has an interest in high school football. This really is one of the big days every 2 years.
Well, I compare it in our world of interscholastic athletics, kind of like the release of the college basketball tournament. Everybody wants to see their bracket and who they draw because they all want to see how they can get to the finals and who are those tough teams. You know, and this is the same with us. When we release our classification, Ron and I have always talked about we should do it just like the Final Four. Well, whatever the Final Four does it, you know, we should release this is your like y'all are doing today because it's exciting. This is exciting to our folks. You know, whether you're in Piedmont, Alabama, whether you're in Lamar County, Alabama, whether you're in Baldwin County, Alabama, everybody has a grouping where they're going to participate to get to that ultimate goal to win a state championship. And that's why it's so exciting. That's why reclassification is exciting because things change. Things change for everybody. I remember as a coach, I always knew pretty much we were going to be in the highest classification, but I always hoped because we were at the bottom, maybe we'd go. We never did. But, you know, you still look at it, you're still excited. And then once you find out where you're going to play, you get ready for that regional meeting you're about to have to schedule and get ready for next year.
There are coaches burning up the phone lines right now.
Yes, sir, they are.
Scheduling games right now. Coach, thank you so much. Thanks to the Central Board for all that they do and the hard work put in on reclassification. And we will see you down the line. We got all kind of state championships still to come. We are through with our fall championships, but boy, we've got spring and winter sports still to come. Exciting times ahead for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. We're going to break this down some more because we have Josh Bean and Ben Thomas from AL.com. They'll join us and we'll kind of break down reclassification with the Alabama High School Athletic Association live as we continue on WOTM.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at AHSAA Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
Not much.
We are back at the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices in Montgomery. It is one of the great days if you're a high school sports fan of every 2 years. It is reclassification day with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. John Holder from the AHSAA TV Weekly. Also, we're going to really kind of get into this, the nuts and bolts, and talk about reclassification, all right? Because we got Ben Thomas here from AL.com, Josh Bean also here with us from AL.com. You guys have been over there typing, working up stories, trying to digest all of this because you get hit with a lot of numbers and names and information at one time. So trying to kind of decipher all this and break it down. So I'll just start with you, Josh. What were the couple of big things about reclassification this time that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I think the two big ones for me, McGill moving down from 7A to 6A. We always know there's going to be a little bit of movement there, but that's a program that's had a lot of success, particularly in volleyball and football. Volleyball, of course, has to stay in 7A, but for McGill football to move down, I thought that was a big development. Fife football moving up from 2A to 3A from the small schools. You know, they've won the last 2A championships. They've been in the Super 7-5 of the last 6 years in 2A. They've never been larger than a 2A school. So to move up to 3A, I thought those were two really big developments.
Ben, same question to you.
Yeah, I think, we have 3 state champions moving up. Lynette moving up from 1A to 2A. As Josh mentioned, Fife moving up into that interesting class now with Piedmont, who's in power. So you could, likely see those two teams fighting it out. I think we'd all like to see that.
Yeah.
And then UMS, which is not a surprise, they were going to move up. They moved up by enrollment, but they won the last 3 4A titles. They'll now be in 5A. They would have moved up by competitive balance or enrollment. So they're in 5A now. But, I work down on the coast, and McGill will be a shocker down there. The fact that McGill drops to 6A in a really tough 6A region. I mean, they probably wanted to stay in 7A, but those are some huge stories. And also South Daphne moving up from 6A to 7A to join that region. Those are huge storylines.
I think another interesting storyline was Mountain Brook for the first time ever, moving from 7A to 6A. That opened the door for Gadsden City to change regions to come out of Class 7A Region 4 to Region 3, which, to be honest with you, is a lot tougher region.
Yeah, the travel is a little better because they don't have to go to Huntsville as many times, but your region now includes Thompson, the team that just won the state championship, the 7A championship, Hoover, which we all know that's the gold standard for Alabama high school football. Hewitt-Trussville, which they had avoided the last 2 years when Gadsden City was in the same region with Hewitt-Trussville. Hewitt-Trussville went 10-0 both years, won that Region 4 championship. So that's a very difficult region. So, Mountain Brook's been part of that conversation, right? When we talk about all those tough teams, Mountain Brook's been part of that. Now they move down to 6A, as you mentioned, for the first time ever.
And I'll tell you, just talking about toughness, I don't know if I've ever seen a tougher region top to bottom than Class 6A. I think it's Region 6, the region with, now you got Jasper and Mortimer Jordan, who both moved up from 5A to 6A to join Clay Chalkville and Pinson Valley and Gardendale. I think Jackson Olin is in that region as well.
That's right, and Minor.
Just there's that region right there. Top to bottom, I'm trying to go back and think of, can I find a region that on the paper anyway, coming out of this year, is tougher top to bottom than that region right there. That is a dynamite, tough region.
You look at Pinson Valley, they've won 2 of the last 3 6A championships, and they made it to the semifinals this year. Clay Chalkville's been to the quarterfinals all of the last 3 years. Jasper just had its first 10-0 regular season in 20 years. Mortimer Jordan is, the last 5 years, they've won 65 games. 14 of those wins were playoff wins. Jackson Olin has pumped out Division I, Power 5 players the last few years. And then, Region 5 is similarly difficult. You have Mountain Brook, Homewood, Briarwood Christian moves up. Chelsea has been a team that is an ascending team that's there. That neither of those 6A regions in the Birmingham area are very easy, but you're right about Region 6. It's really difficult.
And Oxford got just to be honest with you, Oxford really the state champion now. They got moved into a region taking Pell City with them. That is, Arab, Fort Payne, Pell City, Scottsboro, Southside, Springville. You look at that region, you got 2 of those, actually 3 of those teams, Arab and Southside and Scottsboro and Springville, actually 4 teams moving up from 5A to 6A.
Right.
So that is only existing 6A teams in there were Oxford, Pell City, and Fort Payne. We take a look at Region 7 there, and then you see Region 8, which not a whole lot of changes there.
No,
teams from
yeah, I mean, those teams remained largely static.
I want to talk with Ben down there, being in Mobile. One of the things interesting to me is, the Battle of Old Shell Road, St. Paul's, UMS, one of the top rivalries in the state of Alabama, period. Now they're in the same region with each other. So that rivalry was intense, but more than likely now you're going to have region championship implications on that game.
Yeah, and both in 5A, and that it traditionally had been played at the end of the year. Then when St. Paul's got moved up, they had to play it the first game of the year. Now there's no telling where it'll be. It just depends on the draw. It could be in the middle of the year. It could be whenever. But yeah, it'll definitely have region implications. You got Faith Academy, which had their strongest year ever in that region, and then you got Alberta coming in, a new school in 5A. So yeah, but St. Paul's and UMS. And Satsuma in that region, that's going to be a tough region, and you would expect UMS and St. Paul's to be. Of course, UMS comes in with that 33-game winning streak, 3 straight 4A titles, and then St. Paul's going back to 5A, John, where they won 3 of 4 state titles before moving up.
And what's fascinating about that, John, you bring up the rivalry, the Old Shell Road rivalry, but UMS is a team that's moving up from 4A. St. Paul's is a team that's moving down from 6A. The clash of those will be really interesting to see that. And then all of those are, of course, Metro Mobile teams. I mean, Alberta is over in Baldwin County, but all those, the travel is very light on those. And then those 2 private school teams definitely seem to be at the top of that region, Ben.
Yeah, and BC Rain drops from 6A, which is probably good for them. They just had a hard time competing in that. You guys talked about the tough 6A regions. What about that 6A Region 1?
With Spanish Fort and Saraland.
And now you get McGill-Tulane, who was 39-1, John, in 7A. Yeah. I think they're probably going to be unhappy about dropping into that region.
And going back to that St. Paul's UMS, now you have the possibility they could play twice in a season.
That's right.
You have 2 battles of Old Shell Road. And then we look at that Class 6A Region 1. You mentioned that with Gulf Shores, Blunt, McGill-Tulane, Saraland, Spanish Fort. I mean, wow. You look especially Blunt, McGill, Saraland, Spanish Fort. That's as tough as it's going to get there. And we see Region 2 Valley moving up from Class 5A. One of the things we saw in that last graphic, I think the only school in the state that jumped 2 classifications was Pike Road.
That's right.
Just a couple miles down the road here. Shows the explosive growth of that community. They didn't even have a football team, a couple of years ago. Yeah. Then they're 3A. And now they're jumping to 5A.
Yeah, and when you look at 6A Region 2 there, which we saw on the graphic, you've got Carver, Montgomery, and Park Crossing, Lanier. There's 4 of them, right? There's 4 Metro.
Yeah, Lee.
Yeah, Carver and Robert Lee Montgomery also moves down. So that region, it's sort of it's very Montgomery centric. But it is cool that all of those teams, those Montgomery teams, there's natural rivalries there, but just like the Battle of Old Shell Road, that'll be heightened a little bit by those being region games.
Just a couple of minutes left in the show, guys, as we kind of wind things up, kind of each of you your final thoughts on reclassification.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like we mentioned, St. Paul's and UMS, but that was expected pretty much by just figuring out competitive balance. They're going to be in the same region. I think the headliner really across the state is McGill-Tulane, which has been very dominant in that region. John, they're the only team in that 7A Region 1 that has won a playoff game in the last 4 years, and now they're in 6A. So you got no teams that have won playoff games. Daphne moves up. They're the only team in that region that's won a playoff game since 2014. So that's going to be the headliner, I think, really around the state, but certainly in my area.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. I think you mentioned Mountain Brook moving down. I think that's a stunner for a lot of people. They've always been in the largest class. They're a perennial playoff team. Moving down, I think is a surprise. Albertville moving up to 7A, I think that would, and that's to be fair, that's a program that doesn't have a lot of football tradition, and so for them to move up to be in the largest class, I think is a surprise. Ben mentioned McGill, Daphne, we mentioned Fife earlier. When Lynette and UMS and all these state champs move up in football, I think that that's a little bit eye-opening, and we've all heard the talk about competitive balance. Should public schools have to follow that same rule? But when we see Fife moving up, and it's not because of competitive balance, it's because of enrollment. We see that happening with Lynette. I think that can, in a lot of people's mind, that'll equalize some of that.
Going to be a lot of excitement. Of course, we have not even gotten into basketball and baseball and softball and the spring and winter sports. That will come as we get into 2020. But for right now, the fall sports and all the numbers are in. It has been an exciting day, and it will be an exciting time in high school athletics. I know high school football coaches, even as we speak right now, they are burning up the phone lines, getting non-region games scheduled. Going to have some fresh, exciting matchups, fresh, exciting playoff matchups that we've never seen before. It is going to be a tremendously exciting 2020 high school football season. And again, keep in mind these reclassification numbers and these regions and so forth, they will take place and begin next August. This does not take effect until next August for the 2021 school year and for the 21-22 school years. And then we'll come back here in a couple of years and do it all again. For Josh Bean and also Ben Thomas, I also want to thank Steve Savarese from the Athletics Association Executive Director, and also want to thank Ron Ingram, Director of Communications, for his help today and being our guest here. We will see you down the line with more great Alabama High School Athletic Association coverage here on WOTM. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We will see you down the line.